There are moments in life that break you, moments that feel unfair, unbearable, senseless. But what if they weren't mistakes? What if the pain you carry was not punishment, but a test you agreed to take? No, not a test like in school, not something to grade you, shame you, or make you compete. This is a soul test, a vibrational test, one you scripted with higher wisdom before your mind ever existed. And here's the secret: you already knew it would be hard. In Dolores Cannon sessions, thousands of people under deep hypnosis described the same thing: a moment before birth, when their soul stood before a council of guides and chose Earth. Not just Earth, but this timeline, this body, this family, this exact path. And they all said the same thing: I knew it would be a test, but I said yes. Earth is not what it seems. Behind the illusions of traffic, bills, relationships, stress, lies a school, a classroom disguised as chaos. But this isn't about intellect. It's about frequency. Every experience, especially the painful ones, is designed to ask you, will you react or will you remember? And you came here with a mission encoded into your vibration, a seed of memory buried beneath the noise. But to awaken that memory, something had to shake you. Something had to pierce through the numbness of the world. Maybe it was betrayal, loss, or loneliness, illness. Maybe you asked, why me? But the real question is, what is this waking up inside me? The tests were never about punishment. They're about activation. When you were abandoned, the test was, would you love yourself anyway? When you were humiliated, the test was, would you speak your truth even now? When everything collapsed, the test was, will you trust the invisible hand of the universe? And there's no one grading you, no failure, no shame, only choice, only soul growth. Each choice becomes a tuning fork, vibrating closer or further from who you really are. Dolores Cannon often said, many souls chose Earth because it offers the fastest growth, but also the greatest amnesia. And that's the real test, to forget who you are so you can choose to remember. So if you're feeling lost, cracked open, on your knees, you're not broken, you're on the path. You chose to be here during one of the most difficult and sacred times on this planet. You chose the test because your soul knew inside this challenge is the code to your awakening. And here's where it gets mystical. Sometimes the people who hurt you the most were souls who loved you enough to play the villain in your story, so you could rise, so you could remember, so you could walk through fire and still choose light. That's the test. Not to escape life, but to meet it with eyes wide open. To stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what strength is this awakening in me? Because once you pass the test, not with answers, but with presence, you begin to glow. You begin to remember who you are, why you came, and what you're here to do. And the world starts to shift, because your vibration just passed through the veil, and the test became your initiation. You didn't fall into this life. You stepped in, consciously, like an actor walking onto a stage, knowing the role, knowing the scenes, but forgetting the script on purpose. Why? Because remembering inside the pain is the only way to truly awaken. Before you were born, you met with beings of light, not angels with wings, but guides with memory. They showed you the blueprint, the wounds you'd face, the people who would betray you, the heartbreak that would nearly destroy you. And you didn't say no. You said, let's do this. You knew the earth was dense, you knew your memories would be wiped, you knew love here would feel like loss, that time would feel like pressure, that silence would feel like abandonment, and still, you chose this pain. Why? Because this is the lab of the soul, where density creates transformation, where light is born through pressure. Dolores Cannon said, souls are not sent here against their will. They volunteer, knowing the risks and hoping to remember. And isn't that the haunting beauty of this world? That we're all walking with amnesia, yet carrying codes of ancient wisdom. You forgot, but your soul didn't. Every heartbreak, a portal, every loss, a crack in the illusion, every illness, a message trying to get through. But most people run from the pain, avoid it, medicate it, distract themselves to death, because pain is the one teacher no one wants to listen to. But you're different, aren't you? You're here, listening, feeling the call behind the chaos. You see, the pain wasn't the problem. The resistance to the pain was, because once you lean in, once you ask, What is this trying to awaken in me? You unlock the reason you came. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your life was repeating? Like the same type of person keeps hurting you? The same emotion keeps coming back? That's not a curse. That's a soul loop, a lesson waiting to be passed. The universe is not punishing you. It's whispering. You agreed to learn this, Buri, but I'll repeat it until you remember. And that's the power of awareness. The moment you say, I chose this, not to suffer, but to transform, everything begins to shift. You stop blaming. You stop resisting. You start transmuting. Your soul knew how strong you were. That's why the test was hard. You didn't come here to be rescued. You came here to remember you're the rescuer, the healer, the alchemist of your own story. And once you pass the test, not with perfection but with presence and love, something wild begins to happen. You stop being triggered by the world. You start reading the world. Every symbol becomes a message. Every person becomes a mirror. Every pain becomes a teacher. That's what Dolores meant when she said, we're here to play roles, to experience contrast, and to remember what we are through what we are not. So if you're still hurting, good. It means the test is active. It means the code is close. It means your soul is stirring. Don't run, don't numb. Ask the pain what it wants to show you, because that's where the memory lives. Not in comfort, but in the fire you once feared. There's a secret rhythm beneath your suffering. You may think your pain is random, but the soul doesn't operate on chance. It operates on cycles, on repetition, on sacred mirrors. That's why the same emotion keeps coming back. The same wound gets touched again. Different faces, same betrayal. Different jobs, same feeling of being unseen. Different lovers, same abandonment. You ask, why me? But the better question is, what part of me keeps calling this in? Dolores Cannon revealed something profound. The soul creates loop, not to punish, but to awaken. It's not about karma as revenge. It's about resonance. Whatever is unhealed repeats until you stop reacting and start remembering. It's like being in a dream that restarts each time you miss the message. And the moment you finally feel the pattern, acknowledge it without blame and choose differently. The dream shifts, the loop ends, the spell breaks. But it's not just mental, it's vibrational. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. If you're still vibrating in abandonment, it doesn't matter how many affirmations you say, you'll keep calling in more proof of that wound. That's why the pain feels personal. Because it is, but not in the way you think. You didn't do something wrong. You're not broken. You're in training. This life is a refinement process, and pain is the heat that purifies the soul. Here's something people rarely admit. Spiritual awakening is brutal. It's not all love and light. It's losing everything you thought mattered to find what really does. It's dying inside 1,000 times, so something higher can be born. Have you noticed? When the lesson is ignored, it gets louder. The toxic relationship becomes unbearable. The job drains your life force. The body begins to scream through illness. The mind becomes a storm of self-doubt. Why? Because your soul is not here to be silent. It came to evolve, and evolution doesn't whisper, it roars. Dolores said, the soul will nudge you softly at first, but if you ignore it, it will shake your entire life. And that's not cruelty. It's love. The kind of love that breaks you open so your truth can spill out. So what can you do? You observe, you listen, you respond. Instead of asking, how do I make the pain stop? Ask, what is this showing me about myself? That's how you turn a loop into a breakthrough. And here's the deeper mystery. Once you start responding with awareness, the test changes. Life begins to align. Not because it got easier, but because you got clearer. You stop attracting chaos. You start magnetizing truth. This is the difference between a life of reaction and a life of remembrance. In one, you feel like a victim. In the other, you become the author of your path. Let me tell you a truth that might shake you. Not every test was meant to be passed with action. Some were meant to be passed with presence, with staying, with seeing. The soul doesn't need perfection, it needs honesty. The next time a cycle returns, don't run, don't fight. Just ask, what's the pattern here? What is this pain trying to awaken? What choice would break this loop? That moment of awareness is your turning point, because pain is a message, but remembering is a choice. The moment you pass a soul test, you'll know. Not because someone gives you a certificate, not because life becomes instantly easier, but because something inside you changes forever. The craving to please disappears. The need to control dissolves. The anxiety loses its grip. It's subtle but unshakable. And then silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the sacred stillness of alignment. You stop asking, "What should I do?" and start moving from who I am. Dolores Cannon often described this shift. Her clients would go through intense regressions, revisit lifetimes of pain, and suddenly, clarity. They saw that the pain had purpose, that every betrayal had opened a door, that every ending had rerouted their soul toward its real path. That's what a spiritual test is, a detour back to your divine design. You never left it, you just forgot it. And when you pass the test, you don't return to who you were. You become someone who remembers. Here's what no one tells you. The reward is not more comfort, it's more truth, more alignment, more energetic precision, more access to the you that you were always meant to be. When you pass a test, you're no longer driven by survival. You're led by vision. And suddenly, the relationships that drained you fall away. The thoughts that haunted you lose their charge. The fear that controlled you evaporates. Why? Because you no longer match the frequency of that pain. Spiritual tests don't just check your knowledge, they recalibrate your frequency. They strip away what you're not, so what's real can remain. This is why some people awaken after deep loss, or illness, or betrayal. It's not the pain that woke them. It was who they became inside the pain. They saw themselves through the fire, and what survived was soul. You'll notice synchronicities begin to increase. Doors open without force. People say you've changed but can't explain why. You smile more, not because life is perfect, but because you're finally inside your truth. Dolores called this the return to soul resonance. And once you're there, you'll never settle for less again. It's like remembering a language you forgot you knew. You begin to read energy, sense truth before words are spoken, feel what's right, without overthinking. But here's the paradox. Passing one test doesn't mean life stops testing you. It just means you enter a new octave, a higher vibration, a different lesson. You're still in the school, but now you're a conscious student. And this changes everything. Now you ask better questions. What am I still attached to? Where am I still betraying myself? Am I living from fear or from soul? And when you slip, and you will, you no longer spiral. You observe, you recalibrate. That's mastery. Passing the test doesn't make you superior. It makes you responsible. Now you carry light. Now you transmit healing just by existing. Now your energy walks into rooms before you do. That's the quiet power of alignment. So if you're wondering, how do I know if I've passed? Ask yourself, do I still need proof from the outside, or has peace become my proof? Do I still chase, or am I already whole? The soul doesn't celebrate with fireworks. It celebrates with stillness. And once you feel that inner yes, that calm certainty that you're exactly where you're meant to be, you'll realize you didn't pass the test. You became the answer. When the tests end, the mission begins. But not the kind of mission your mind imagines. It's not a job title, not a career path, not a role you play for the world to applaud. No, your real mission begins the moment you stop living to survive and start existing as your frequency. You're no longer trying to do something. You're becoming something. You radiate, you magnetize, you align. And in that state, the mission unfolds naturally. Dolores Cannon said, "Some souls came here just to hold the frequency, to remind others with their presence alone." Let that sink in. Your soul didn't come to impress. It came to remember. And in that remembrance, others awaken. You stop chasing purpose and start embodying presence. This is when your energy begins to do the talking. You'll notice people opening up to you, strangers telling you their secrets, animals drawn to you, children watching you in stillness. It's not coincidence. It's recognition. Your soul is signaling. And those meant to remember how will feel it. This is why so many of us feel lost before our mission starts. Because the world teaches you to find your purpose, like it's outside of you. But the truth is, Your purpose isn't found, it's unlocked. And the key was always your pain. Look back. Every test broke open a part of you, and every part revealed a code, a gift, a frequency. Now imagine all those fragments coming together. That's your mission. Not one thing, but the sum of your becoming. And here's the miracle. Once your mission activates, you no longer need to be loud. Your energy speaks louder than words. You walk into a room and things shift. You speak truth, and people remember things they never learned. You write and the words vibrate off the page. This is not magic, it's resonance. Your soul begins to attract what it needs with precision. People, opportunities, places. Not because you're manifesting from ego, but because you've become a clear signal. You're finally tuned in. And yes, the mission will ask more of you. More surrender, more trust, more silence. It's not about gaining followers or recognition. It's about staying true to the frequency you agreed to hold. That's what your soul signed up for. Dolores knew this well. She said many souls would awaken, but forget why they came. They'd try to fit back in, dim their light, play it safe. But your mission will never let you stay small for long. The moment you betray your vibration, you feel it. That inner restlessness, that knowing that you're not in alignment. So what do? You return to presence, to stillness, to soul. And from that space, your path clears again, because the mission was never out there. It was you, remembered. This is the sacred shift. You're not here to save the world. You're here to embody the light, and the world will remember itself through you. So if you're still wondering what your mission is, stop searching and start listening. The signs are already around you, and the frequency is already within you. What if I told you, you're not waiting for the mission, you're not waiting for the signs, you're not even waiting for the healing, because the memory has already returned. You just forgot how to recognize it. You've been looking for something dramatic, a calling, a voice, a miracle, but real remembrance and comes in silence. In the moment you see a number on a clock and feel something shift, in the way your body tingles when someone speaks truth, in the tears you didn't expect flowing from a place you can't name. That's your soul whispering. You're waking up. Dolores Cannon said, "The veil is thinning. What once took lifetimes to remember can now return in a moment." And maybe this video is that moment. You didn't come here to suffer forever. You came to transform pain into wisdom, to rewrite stories, to end cycles, to become the living proof that healing is real. But you forgot, because that was part of the agreement. You forgot who you were so deeply, so that when you remembered, you'd never doubt your light again. And now that moment is here. No more waiting for someone to rescue you. No more blaming the world. No more shrinking. You're not broken. You're remembering. Every trigger is a compass. Every emotion is a message. Every challenge is a coded invitation. Will you answer it? If your soul is stirring right now, if your chest feels heavy, if tears are rising and you don't know why, don't run from it. Stay with it. Let it open you. Because this is the frequency of remembering. And in that vibration, everything begins to change. You stop fearing the unknown. You begin trusting what you feel. You recognize yourself in places you've never been. You feel home in your own skin. You are not who they told you to be. You are not the name, the story, or the wounds. You are the light that saw this life ahead of time and still chose to come. You knew it would hurt. You knew you'd forget. You knew they might try to silence you. And still, you came. So let this be the moment you return to that truth, not through a guru, not through a doctrine, but through the still radiant knowing inside your chest. You've passed the test. Now, you walk as the soul you've always been. Let the world call it coincidence. Let others say you've changed. You don't need to explain your awakening. Just live it. Be the proof that remembering is possible, and the ones meant to awaken with you will feel it. So here's the question I leave you with tonight. What have you been calling pain? That was actually your soul trying to get your attention. Tell me below. Let's remember together. You were never alone in this, not in the forgetting, and not in the remembering. Welcome back.